Close your eyes for just a moment and imagine this. You are lying there and someone reaches out to you, not in a rush, not with an agenda, not heading somewhere fast, but slowly, intentionally, as if you are the only thing in the entire world worth paying attention to. They don't touch where you expect, they touch where you need, and something inside you just melts. Something you didn't even realize was frozen begins to thaw. That is the moment every woman over 40 is quietly, privately, desperately craving, and most men have absolutely no idea it even exists. So today, let's talk about it. Openly, honestly, because this is too important to leave unsaid. Here's the truth that doesn't get spoken enough. A woman's body changes profoundly after 40. Her nervous system changes. Her hormones shift. Her relationship to touch, to intimacy, to her own skin, it all transforms in ways that are deep and real and beautiful, but also tender and sometimes confusing. And if the people who love her don't understand what's happening, they keep trying to reach her the same old way. And she keeps feeling unseen, unkissed in the places that matter, unmet. And that quiet disconnection, that gap between what she needs and what she's actually getting, is one of the loneliest feelings in the world. So let's change that today. Let's talk about what women over 40 actually need when it comes to touch. Not just physical touch, but the kind of touch that reaches all the way in. First, you need to understand something that no one teaches us in school, something that most couples never even discuss. After 40, a woman's nervous system becomes far more sensitive to stress. Estrogen, which has been quietly doing protective work in her body for decades, begins to decline. And one of the things estrogen does, one of its beautiful, underappreciated roles, is help regulate the nervous system's response to threat. It keeps the stress response from firing too easily. It keeps a woman feeling safe in her own body. As estrogen declines, that buffer weakens. This means that small stresses, the unfinished to-do list, the argument from 2 days ago that never quite got resolved, the worry about her kids or her aging parents or her career, those things don't just stay in her head anymore. They settle into her body. They make her muscles hold tension. They make her nervous system stay just slightly on edge, even when everything seems fine on the surface. And here's why this matters so profoundly when it comes to touch and intimacy. A woman whose nervous system is running in a low-level stress state cannot fully receive pleasure. It's not a choice. It's biology. It's the way the human body is wired. When the nervous system is in protection mode, it cannot simultaneously be in connection mode. These two states are mutually exclusive. So when someone reaches for her in an intimate moment and skips over the nervous system, skips over helping her body actually feel safe and held and calm, they're not starting where she actually is. They're starting somewhere she hasn't arrived yet. And then everyone wonders why she seems distant, or why it takes so long, or why she doesn't seem that interested anymore. It's not because she doesn't want intimacy. It's because no one has learned how to help her cross the bridge between stress and surrender. That bridge, that crossing, that is where the real touch begins. And it starts somewhere most people never think to go. It starts with her nervous system. It starts at the back of her neck. Now stay with me here because this is where things get genuinely fascinating. There is a network of nerve endings running along the back of the skull, down the sides of the neck, across the tops of the shoulders. This area is directly connected to the vagus nerve, the longest nerve in the body, the one that controls the shift between stress and rest, between protection and openness. When you touch this area slowly, gently, with warmth and presence, you are literally speaking to the part of the nervous system that decides whether it is safe to let go. A slow, warm hand resting on the back of her neck, fingers moving gently into her scalp, a soft touch at the base of her skull. These are not minor gestures. These are neurologically powerful acts of care. They send a signal directly into the most ancient part of her brain. You are safe here. You can exhale. You can arrive. You can be here. And when that signal is received, when her nervous system actually hears it and believes it, something extraordinary happens. Her body begins to unlock, not because anyone pushed or pressured or performed, but because she finally feels safe enough to open. But the back of the neck is only the beginning. Because women over 40 are also dealing with something else that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, and that is the profound hunger to feel seen. Not just wanted, not just desired, seen. Here's what I mean by that. When a woman is young, sometimes it's enough to feel desired. The intensity of being wanted can feel like a substitute for being truly known. But as the years go by, as she builds a life and accumulates experiences and losses and wisdom, desire alone starts to feel thin. It's not enough anymore. She wants to be seen in her wholeness. She wants whoever is with her to see her, not just her body, not just what she can offer, but the fullness of who she is. And this too is expressed through touch. Touch that says, I see you is different from touch that says, I want you. Touch that sees you as slower. It doesn't rush to arrive anywhere. It lingers. It pays attention. It notices the places that carry tension and offers gentleness there. It traces the story of the body with care and curiosity rather than urgency. A woman over 40 who is touched as if she matters, as if every inch of her is worth slowing down for, will open in ways that no amount of urgency or intensity could ever reach. Because that kind of touch meets her where she actually is. So let's get specific. Let's talk about the places she actually wants to be touched first before anything else, because this matters enormously and most people have it completely backwards. The number one place she wants to be reached first is her mind. I know that might sound like I've left the physical world entirely, but I promise you I haven't. The mind is the most erogenous zone she has. If her mind is still running through tomorrow's schedule, still replaying a tense conversation, still carrying the mental load of 1,000 undone things, her body is not available. Full stop. This means that intimacy, real intimacy, begins way before the bedroom. It begins with feeling heard. It begins with a conversation where she gets to say how she's feeling and someone actually listens, not to fix it, not to move past it, but just to really hear it. It begins with someone lightening her mental load without being asked. It begins with feeling like a partner, like an equal, like someone whose inner world is interesting and worthy of attention. When she feels that, when her mind feels met, her body follows. The two are not separate systems for her. They are one. The second place she wants to be touched is through words, not poetic declarations if that's not natural, just honest words, real ones. I love the way you think. You looked beautiful today. I noticed how hard you've been working, and I appreciate you. These words land in her body. They release the same tension that a physical touch can release. They tell her nervous system she is safe. They tell her whole being she is seen. And then, and only then, does the physical touch become fully available to her. When you do reach for her physically, start slow. Start far from anywhere that feels urgent. Touch her hair. Rest your hand gently on her upper back. Let your fingers trace her shoulders without agenda. Sit close enough that she can feel your warmth. Let the closeness itself be the message for a while. Women over 40 often describe something they desperately miss but rarely ask for directly, being held without it leading anywhere. Just held. Just the arms around them and the warmth and the steadiness, without any expectation of what comes next. This kind of holding does something extraordinary for the female body. It activates oxytocin, the bonding hormone, the one that builds trust and safety and deep connection. It quiets the stress hormones. It helps the nervous system remember that this person is safe, that this closeness is nourishing, that she can exhale. And when she feels all of that, when the safety is real, and the presence is felt, and the holding has been long enough to actually land in her body, then her desire awakens on its own terms. Not because she was pushed or rushed or performed at, but because every cell of her was met, and her body responded the way a body naturally does when it finally feels completely, unconditionally safe. There's another thing worth naming, and it's something women over 40 rarely feel comfortable saying out loud because they don't want to seem demanding or complicated. And that is this: she needs to be touched with patience that has no clock on it. So much of touch in relationships becomes goal-oriented. There's an unspoken destination, and every touch is moving toward it. But for a woman whose nervous system has been on high alert all day, whose hormones are shifting, whose body is moving through the changes of midlife, that kind of destination-oriented touch lands differently than it used to. It can feel like pressure even when none is intended. It can make her body brace rather than open. But touch that has no agenda, touch that seems to have decided that this moment right here is the whole point, that is the rarest and most powerful gift. It communicates something that goes all the way to the bone. You are not a destination, you are a person, and being with you just like this is already everything. Let's also talk about something that often goes completely unacknowledged, and that is how much beauty a woman over 40 is carrying in her body, even if she struggles to see it in herself. Her body has lived, it has created, sustained, healed, endured. It carries the marks of years of laughter and grief and labor and rest. And those marks are not flaws. They are the record of a life fully inhabited. When you touch a woman over 40, as if her body is something to move past, to get around, to arrive somewhere beyond, you miss the whole thing. But when you touch her body as if every part of it is worthy of care and attention, when you show with your hands that you find her beautiful exactly as she is, something in her relaxes that has been held tight for a very long time. The part of her that has been measuring herself against some impossible standard, the part that has been watching the mirror and counting the changes, that part goes quiet. And in that quiet, she comes fully alive. This is one of the most generous things you can ever offer someone you love, to touch her as if she is already more than enough. To touch her with no performance required, no particular shape needed, no younger version of herself expected. Just her, just this, just now. Now here's something that is important for women too, because this is not only about what others give you, this is also about what you allow yourself to receive. If you are a woman over 40, you may have spent years putting yourself last. You may have become so fluent in caring for others that you have forgotten how to receive care yourself. You may have a habit of deflecting tenderness, of brushing off compliments, of getting up too quickly after being held because there's something to do or someone who needs you. But here is your invitation to practice receiving, to stay a little longer in the embrace, to let a kind word land instead of deflecting it, to allow someone's hands on your shoulders to actually reach you instead of staying in your head while your body is being touched. You deserve to be fully present in your own life, in your own body, in your own pleasure. This is not selfish. This is actually one of the most generous things you can do, because when you are full, when you are truly nourished, you have so much more to give to everyone you love. Your body is not a problem to solve. It is not a project to optimize. It is not something to apologize for. It is the home you live in, and it has carried you through everything, through every season, every loss, every joy, every beginning. It is extraordinary, and it deserves to be touched with the reverence that extraordinary things deserve. There is a kind of intimacy that becomes possible after 40 that simply wasn't available earlier, and it is richer and deeper and more real than anything that came before, because it is not about performance. It is not about impressions or ideals or who you were supposed to be. It is about who you actually are, right now, in this body, in this moment, and the profound gift of being met there fully and truly by someone who has taken the time to understand. The women who feel most alive in their relationships, the ones who feel most seen and most loved and most at home in their own skin, they are not the ones who settled for the old shortcuts. They are the ones who finally learned to ask for what they actually need, and they are the ones who found, or taught, or grew beside a partner who understood that touch is not just physical, it is the whole language of love, spoken slowly, with patience, with presence, with eyes that truly see. You deserve that kind of love, not someday, not when things calm down, not when you've lost the weight or finished the project or sorted out the worry. Now, exactly as you are, fully, lavishly, completely, and if no one has told you that lately, consider it said. You are worth slowing down for, every inch of you, every year of you, every tender, strong, beautiful, complicated part of you. That is where it begins. That is where the real touching starts, and it is so much more magnificent than anyone ever told us it could be.